right, you're listening to the Table 12 podcast. Danny Barr, Paul Marino, and Rob Klein on the board.
What's up, gentlemen?
Good afternoon.
Paul, are you ready now?
I'm ready.
I think sports is your gig, man.
Well,
You take it.
the Knicks are on fire.
Well, I have to give you credit on something before you start. Can I give you credit on
Yes,
something?
go ahead.
I have watched for the first time in my life 4 Knick games in entirely.
Have you?
Yes. Now, people may say I'm jumping on a bandwagon,
It's okay to do that. You're a New Yorker.
but I'm
No-
New Jerseyan.
No other team. Well, it's still in the New York area. No other teams are winning. None of your other teams.
I don't understand the game. I really don't. I've never played it. I don't understand the rules. I don't understand the fouls. I mean, some fouls are pretty obvious,
Yes.
but there are fouls called. There was a foul called last Saturday night
There's a lot of them.
that I don't understand.
Yeah.
So with that said, though, thank you, because by doing this show and listening to you, I mean, I've always listened to you talk about the Knicks, but I never really paid attention before. You know, I would just
Right.
finish my beer and move on. But listening to you talk, doing this show, got me into it.
Oh, that's great.
And it's some of the most exciting sports I've ever watched. And I'm really into it. So I'm ready for you.
Well, let me tell you, the Knicks, last time the Knicks won a championship, I was a freshman in high school in 1973. And in their history, they never won 10 straight games in the playoffs. They haven't lost since April 23rd.
Yeah. Was it 7? Is it
10 straight.
They've won 10 straight.
10 straight without losing. Tonight they play again. But let's go back to the
Going
game.
for the sweep tonight.
They're going for the sweep. Look, game 3, when you're up 2-0 and you go to your opponent, Cleveland, their home arena, that's the game they're charged up. They can get back into it because now they're energized by their fans, which a lot of Knicks fans were in the building, by the way. And the Knicks just came out wire to wire and just
There was a point where,
they were down 6, I think. They
and
cut
then
it to
late
6.
in the game, late in the fourth quarter, the Cavs got within 8, and they were making a run, like because they were up like 15 or something, and then the Cavs cut the lead in half. And I thought, oh wow, this is like I can't go to bed.
But then the Knicks pulled away, and it's been 3-point shooting. They're playing 10 guys.
This guy Brunson,
Brunson had 30 points. He didn't even break a sweat.
he's incredible.
He's the best point. I know we touched upon this last week. He's the best point guard that the Knicks have since the 70s. Because the reason why the Knicks didn't win in the 90s, they didn't have a Patrick Ewing was there, and they had good players, but they never had that second scorer, and especially from the point position. I mean, they had a lot of good guys, but they didn't have that second guy. Bernard King got hurt the year that Ewing was drafted, and if Bernard King was the way he was before his injury when he came back, they lost a year and a half. And back then, when you tore your ACL, you weren't the same. That's the second player that the Knicks would have had if he didn't get injured. But all 5 starters were in double figures. The guys coming off the bench, this Landry Shamet has been killing him.
One member of the bench scored double figures, right? Didn't I see that?
Oh, Landry Shamet, he's been the guy that's been coming off and hitting threes and killing them at the end. They're not losing a beat when their second team is on the floor. They're just playing great defense, okay? Bridges, he's got a plus 51 when he's on the floor, which means it's defense, offense. The Knicks are a plus 51. So he scored, he's averaging 21 points. He's like 25 or 27 for 38. 27 for 38 from the field, shooting 71%. But he's also preventing the other team from scoring. He's stealing the ball. He's stopping the best player. He came from in the first round. They benched him because he had a game with no points, and they flipped the whole script. And the coach is showing me something now because he's actually coaching, and he's adjusting to the play. He changed the way that they were running their offense. He's using a lot of post ups, top of the key with the center, and he's throwing the ball all over the place, and he's getting assists. I'm talking about Cat. So look, they're 3-0.
They're frustrating Harden Harden's getting frustrated.
And Brunson just
runs around him.
He just runs right around. He can't cover him. And he could pull up. He can go to the basket.
So I wanted to ask you, because I was going to text you the other night.
Yeah.
Why haven't I heard of Brunson before?
Well, when he was playing for the Memphis Grizzlies, I believe. And there's 3 players that are on the team that would play for Villanova. Bridges, Brunson, and Josh Hart. They won 2 championships with the Villanova in 2000. I want to say 2016 and 18. There was one in between that they didn't win. They won 2 in college together.
Okay.
These guys are winners. They know how to play. Now,
right.
One of them, I'm not sure which.
So
one.
there's 3 guys on the Knicks that were teammates on Villanova.
On Villanova, the 3 of them I mentioned
that won 2 championships.
They won 2 championships.
Okay, so they know how to play together, and that's smart.
So Brunson was playing. He was a backup point guard, I think, with Memphis, and I don't remember who was playing ahead of him. I don't know if it was Kyrie Irving. I don't remember now. He was a bench player. The Knicks hired his father, as a coach, and then they brought him in as a free agent, and they gave him the job, and they gave him the starting position. So it was a good free agent signing.
So would you agree? Because I'm a novice with this. Would you agree that Brunson's talent was always there? He just needed to get with the right people.
You need to get with the right team
that complemented his skills.
Perfect fit at the right time for New York.
Right.
Because he played, like I said, he played big games in Philly. And I think that's why when they go to Philly and play they're playing in their college home, that's what they're excelling every time they play in Philly.
Well, the overtime game was all him.
Yeah.
The overtime was all him.
Yep. He's risen his game to another level with the Knicks. And, you come to New York, that's not easy to play. It's not many guys can do that. You're
in
not
any
even,
sport.
Yeah, in any sport.
New York is tough.
So he's just risen his game. Now,
do you know why it's tough? Sorehead fans.
Like who? Like me?
I wasn't going to say that, but
I'm not really a sorehead fan anymore.
You call yourself a sorehead fan.
Anyway, let's get back to so they brought some guys in that familiar with him. Josh Hart's a gamer. He's just tough. He rebounds. He can shoot. He can hit the 3. He took less money on his second. He could have got extended an extra $100 million the year before last, but he wanted them to have enough money to sign Bridges and a couple of other guys without taking the max contract. He took $100 less. Where are you going to ever see that in sports, especially in basketball? They always take the max. So he was trying to.
How much less?
I think it was $100 million. He could have had another $100 million over the course of 4 years. Now, his next contract, he'll get it. But he knew that
this year,
for the last 2 years, unselfish. He's unselfish, and he's not a. He after the game, he's not too high or too low. He doesn't get rattled by you would think after the last game that they lost because we didn't do anything yet. And they all have this mindset. They're not spiking the football yet, and celebrating too quick that we're going to win the series. They could lose tonight, but you know what? It seems to me
it's never happened before.
They could lose a game.
Right.
They're not going to lose the series 3.
Right.
If they did that, that's a money. But they had they're scoring so much points that double digits leads every game.
Yeah.
And outside of the game 1 where they were down by 22 and came back, which I think totally deflated the other team. But the next game is tonight. Game 4 is tonight, and we'll see what happens with that. The other series, which is the Thunder and the Spurs.
Yeah, the Spurs won last.
Spurs won last night, 103-82.
And you're looking for that to go 7 games, so
because the same scenario was the last.
Right.
You beat each other up.
Yep.
So now it's 2-2. So that's anybody's series yet, And look, if the Knicks play like they played the last 10 games, they could beat them teams.
Oh, they're playing at a high level.
They're playing at a high level, and when you can play 10 deep, sometimes somebody's not on their game. Well, you put this other guy in, or you're doing well because they're all rested. Is the other point. You know what I mean? Like they're not all. See, the thing about the last coach, and I didn't want. Like I didn't want to see him go. I thought he was a great coach. But the front office knows more than I do. So
take it easy.
They know more than me. But the difference between the two coaches is the other guy seems to be a little stubborn. This guy will adjust a little bit more. He's not afraid to play more people, and he did it all season. So, like, these guys are getting in the playoffs. They were playing all season. He was playing 8, 10 deep, depending on the game. So now they're coming into a playoff game. They're used to playing. You know what I mean? It's not like you're putting them in cold all of a sudden in a big playoff game. I mean, they're all professionals, so they should be able to play. You know what I mean?
Right.
So we'll see what happens. And like I said, game 4 is tonight, Dan.
Yeah.
So, Rob,
I'll be watching it.
There was big happenings in the NASCAR
very
universe.
Big happenings, very sad, very unexpected. I'm sure everybody's been following it, but even if you don't follow NASCAR, you know the name Kyle Busch. And I have to tell you, I followed him for years, and God, I hated him, but I never wanted to see him dead. And nobody ever expected this. He was only 41 years old, 2-time NASCAR champion. The stats that he has, since you guys are into stats, are pretty impressive. He won the Cup championship in 2015 and 2019. He has a total of 63 Cup wins, 102 Xfinity Series wins, 69 Truck Series wins, which is a combination of 234 wins that nobody else has matched.
So he runs in the truck the night. Was it usually on the night before? There's a truck race, right?
Friday night.
Pickup truck?
NASCAR truck. Yeah, they run NASCAR Friday. They run Xfinity Saturday, and then they run the Cup Series Sunday.
Wow.
And he's known for racing all 3 days.
He is.
Which is insane.
Yeah, it is insane. Very, very demanding. And that's, people who say, oh, NASCAR is not a sport. You don't have to be an athlete to be a NASCAR driver. You know what? They had the Coca-Cola 600 last night, 600 miles due to rain delays. I don't even know what time the race ended, but it started at 6:30, and I went to bed at 11:30, and it was still going. It's unbelievable, the physical, demanding atmosphere, environment you're in inside that race car going 200 miles an hour. Everything from the heat to the bumps, it's crazy.
And then you throw dehydration, heart rate. When I was in Charlotte for the 600 years ago, it was right after Dale Sr. died. He died that year. I was told that to be a NASCAR driver is like getting on a stationary bike and pedaling as hard as you can for 3 hours.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah. And that's what it's like to be in that car.
I mean, the inside of those cars get to be 120 degrees or more. They'd have cooled helmets and I think cooled suits, but
Is that much stress on you, like driving, as there is like riding a stationary bike?
Well, you know how you're driving down the road in Sussex County, you hit a pothole and the whole car jars. Well, imagine
going
the bumps and doing that at 200 miles an hour.
Okay, that makes sense. Yeah.
I mean, these tracks are not smooth.
And you're 10 inches away from the other cars.
Yeah. Or closer.
Yeah.
No, that's...
but unfortunately, I feel that his death could have been avoided. A person like that is so used to just pushing through. And for 2 weeks, he had been complaining about a nasal infection and things like that. And basically what happened was, towards the end, he was in a simulator at GM practicing like he always does. And he started getting dizzy, shortness of breath, and started coughing up blood. Well, by the time they actually got him to a hospital in Charlotte, I don't know the exact timing, but it was pneumonia that had gone into sepsis.
Wow.
And I mean, I had a small bout with an infection with my leg over the winter. And
Yep.
Dan, I know you've dealt with things like this too, but basically in the final stages of sepsis or septic shock, it's the body's reaction and overreaction of trying to kill this organism, and it winds up killing all the other organs as well. So, you know, you have cardiovascular issues, you have organ failure of multiple organs, and the mortality rate is 50%. And even though he was strong, he succumbed to it. And I think that if he didn't have such a strong ego and will to win, that maybe somebody could have caught this a little bit sooner.
Well, he just raced the week before.
I know, and he won.
Yeah.
In a truck. It was in a truck series, and he was complaining at Watkins Glen how he wanted the doctor to come and give him a shot. Well, if you have pneumonia, what is he giving him a shot for? You know.
Well, I listened to a driver interviewed, and they played that call, telling his crew, "I need the doctor there," when he pulls in. And the driver says, this happens all the time. You know, we always have doctors showing up in the pit because, you know, dehydration.
Something could happen. And
your heart rate might be going up or something. And, you know, they're medicating constantly.
Yeah.
During a race.
Amazing. It's a tragedy. I'm sorry about it. Sorry. I know you're a big fan.
Yeah, I mean, during the Indy 500, they had a tribute on lap 18. They had a big on the main score post there. They had a big tribute to him. Watching the beginning of the Charlotte race and his wife was heartbreaking.
Yeah.
And his son, right? His 11-year-old son.
11-year-old son. The cool thing that Childress Racing did is they retired his number. He was 18 forever, and then recently he was number 8. Well, they've retired that number until his son is ready to start NASCAR.
Now, here's my question for you. When Dale Sr. died, so he died at Daytona.
Right.
Which is in February.
And I was watching that. It was my birthday that day. He died. He died on February 3rd.
Well, as long as we can make it about you.
Oh, why do you got to be like a jerk all the time for? It's just a fact.
So we went to the 600, which is in May. So it was just a few months after Dale died.
Right.
And on the third lap, his number was 3. On the third lap, everybody stood up and held up the number 3. I was wondering if the fans were going to do this with the number 8, but he was 18 for so long.
Right.
So what's going to be the number that will forever be associated then?
I believe they retired 8.
Yeah, 8. Well, that's because that was a Childress.
Right.
It was Joe Gibbs was 18.
Right.
When he raced for Joe Gibbs in the M&M car.
I know at NASCAR at Charlotte, when they did the 8th lap, everybody stood up and held up.
Okay, so that's going to be, because it's tough to hold up 18. But, so it's going to be 8 is going to be the number.
Right.
Because they'll do that all season now.
Oh, sure.
I thought that was I had never seen that before. I thought it was a pretty cool tribute.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But he's the first one to die as an active racer since Dale Sr.
That's correct.
So pretty emotional.
Yeah, the only difference was it didn't happen during the race. But
right.
Well, since we're on a somber note, we could talk about the Mets.
Well, before we go to there, again, you're right, Dan. He rushes.
I thought
he does. He rushes. I had one more thing to say.
I'm sorry.
Okay.
Tough day for you. Tough day for you. I'll tell you, it's a tough room. Tough room.
The Indy 500 was won by, I'm going to get the name wrong, Phelan Rosenquist.
Something like that, yeah.
The margin of victory, it was at the last lap, at the line, and he won by 0.0233 seconds at 230 miles an hour.
And you know what's crazy is the only reason why they know that is because of computers.
Oh, yeah.
Back in the Mario Andretti days, how would they have figured out who won?
Well, they would have done it with a photo finish, but I'll tell you
Right.
something. You brought up technology, and what's interesting, you can go back and look at the photo finish of this race. Even the camera that they were using, and you would think in this day and age, any camera that is that advanced could capture multiple frames. I don't remember. One got the tail of it, and one just got the nose. Like, it was unbelievable how fast it happened.
Yeah, closest in history, they said.
Closest in history.
Yeah. Imagine 500 miles. You just raced 500 freaking miles, and it comes down to 0.2 of a second difference.
Yeah.
Yeah, David, let's see, what's his name? Malachus? He was devastated. I mean, he's in the car crying. He's out of the car crying. He couldn't compose himself. Then he finally pulled himself together, but he just couldn't believe it. He was saying, I don't even know how much more I can give. I gave 150%, and it wasn't enough.
Well, I guess you got to go faster next time.
But it wasn't enough at less than a last second.
And how fast? Those cars are like 225 miles an hour, right?
240.
240?
Yeah, coming into a corner, they're
Why don't
240.
they just run one lap? Why do they have to run 500 miles? Just go one lap.
Well,
that way you don't feel so bad if you lose by 2 seconds.
You know what's funny is, and Rob, I might get this wrong, but in NASCAR, you don't get to see them, but the qualifying races are 10 laps.
All right, well,
Because I went to that in Charlotte. So the week before the 600, and I don't even know what you call them, but there was like 6 heats of 10-lap races.
Yeah, well, that's basically qualifying. That's not qualifying. That is practice in groups. And that's so the teams can judge how the car is going to react in wind conditions off of other cars.
Well, they were competing.
Oh, yeah, they're definitely competing. They're definitely racing, but it doesn't count. For qualifying, for Indy, it's 4 laps. And I believe for NASCAR, it might be 4 as well. And then it's put on, the starting grid is determined by time.
Well, we were watching 10-lap. They were calling them sprints or something.
Right. It's 10-lap sprints. They're practices. They don't count towards any points. But what they do is they help the teams lock in a setup of how the car is going to react in traffic.
I loved it because it fit into my attention deficit. 600 miles. I was asleep under the bleachers by the middle of the race.
I mean, that's the way it happens down when we camp in the infield for Pocono. We inevitably somebody's napping halfway through this race, and you can't even imagine how that's possible with the decibel level at 120 dB as these cars are going by. It's crazy.
Yeah, it's got to be loud.
Oh, it's loud.
It's everybody should see it once. It's impressive, but for me, NASCAR is like hockey. I can't watch it on TV.
Well, hockey is not as long as NASCAR.
Yeah, but I mean, I'm bored. I can't watch it on TV. I love going to a game. I love going to the Garden and watching a hockey game. And I had a really good time going to a NASCAR race, but I cannot watch it on TV. But yet I can watch golf. I don't know.
Hockey,
there's no
in order to watch hockey on TV, you have to do it from a very young age where you can understand. Like if you're watching it when you're like you start watching it now, it's tough to follow the puck. Like I could do it because I've been watching since I was 6 years old, 7 years old. It's better when you're there. I agree. You see the plays develop. You can see it's great when you're at the hockey game,
and you can watch the refs.
Yeah,
because the refs are a blast to watch during timeouts and stuff.
I went to grammar school with a kid that wound up being a ref, and I used to see him. Now this is 80s. In the 80s, his name was Pat DePuzzo, and he was a ref. When he would go to the Devil Game Garden, he was as skinny as a rail, but he was big. Now then he got big since then, and I used to see him all the time, on the ice, and breaking up fights and everything. He had a long career. He retired as a ref. Well, Rob, you have anything else on NASCAR?
Well, thanks for asking.
It made Paul go shy.
No, I think I'm good, Paul. Thank you very much.
I can't wait till next week. Another update on.
Are you going to ask me if I have anything on NASCAR?
You have anything on NASCAR?
No, not this week.
Do you have anything on?
I will say something about NASCAR that that Dan's going to agree with. The reason it's fun to go to the races is the people watching is sometimes better than the action on the track.
Look, don't you get dizzy watching them drive around
No.
It's a 2-mile track. Here's what I'll tell you. The female fans at NASCAR are the hottest female fans of any sport.
I agree.
And it's the only sport where you can buy beer by the bucket.
Absolutely true.
Oh, okay.
So
It's not worth going for that. Anyway, the Mets had a rough week. Not as rough as the NASCAR segment, but it was rough. They lost they won 2 out of 5 this week, and they lost in Washington, and they lost yesterday in a grand slam, bottom of the ninth. Walk off by the Marlins, who swept them. It was 4-0 yesterday. So they had a rough week, Dan. Their record now is 21-30.
well, the Yankees weren't shining either.
So it was since last Sunday's debacle where the Mets walked off on the Yankees. Now they thought they were, hey, now we got it. We're back on track. Well, you lost 5-7. So now your record's terrible. And the Yankees, you're right. They played 500 from last Sunday to now. They were 3-3 on the week. They split with the Blue Jays, and then they split with the Tampa Bay Rays, who are ahead of them.
Well, one of them was a rainout.
That's why they split.
Right.
See, if it wasn't a rainout, there would have been a third game, which would have been, there's no split. That would have
been a rubber game.
Yes. So, Saturday was rained out, and yesterday, Judge hit a 2-run homer in the bottom of the ninth.
To break his own slump.
Right, yeah, he had a bad week, too. So, once again, we're at Memorial Day. Neither team is really the Yankees are still better than the Mets. The Yankees have pretty good starting pitching, but their bullpen's shaky, and they got 5 guys hitting under 200. So I don't know how they're going to change the team. They sent Spencer Jones back down. They brought Caballero back up, who was injured. He's been starting at short. Cole came back, pitched a solid 6-inning game on his first outing since 24, when his last game was when they lost in the World Series. That was his last game prior to Friday's game. So, but Memorial Day, now you're in. You played about 50 games. By July 4th, you'll start to see what the teams looks like. Then you got the trade deadline to try to improve. The Rays look really tough, Dan.
They do. Yeah.
I think they got a 7-game lead or a 6-game lead now. I mean, if they'd have won yesterday, it would have been an 8-game.
Over the Yanks?
Yeah.
I thought it was...
The Yanks are in second. Tampa's in first.
But I thought the lead was like 3.5.
No, because, I mean, we split the whole week.
Well, they didn't lose any ground to them.
They lost one. They gained a game back yesterday because they won that game. So, otherwise, I think it would have been 8 back. I think there's 6 back now. Long ways to go. But that's the update on the baseball. I think you got some golf to talk about.
They had the Byron Nelson Classic in Texas. They're doing a Texas swing now. And Wyndham Clark won. These guys were throwing darts.
I saw the leaderboard a couple of times, -21, -22.
The course played really easy.
Yeah.
They tore
compared to last week's.
Right. The PGA played like the U.S. Open.
Yeah.
Clark won. He was 30 under.
30 under.
30 under. Siwoo Kim.
Scheffler was right there on Saturday afternoon. But
Siwoo Kim came in at 27 under, and Scheffler came in at 25 under. Those were your top 3.
So 30 under won the tournament.
30 under. Imagine shooting 25 under over 4 rounds, and you came in third.
That's crazy.
It was nothing. You look at the scorecards, it's nothing but birdies and eagles.
What'd you shoot on your last match?
I shot 104.
That's not bad. So how many under were you?
No, I usually...
You were over.
Was that on 9 holes?
No, it was actually the whole 18.
Wow.
But that's his first time out, Rob, since he pulled up lame. He's better now.
First
How
time
many
out
years?
since last year.
Oh, you played last year.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I just had 2 bad hip issues this winter. But I missed 6 par putts within 3 feet. My putting was atrocious. So I would have broken
Yeah,
100.
but don't be too down on yourself. You just got back.
They,
You know?
well, I should never not break 100. I can tell you that. But oh well, it is what it is.
Now, was this televised, or were you weren't on any closed circuit TV or anything, were you? Your match?
No.
Okay. So nobody knew you were out there.
I'm retired from competitive play. But I had a good time, played with 3 great people, and we got stuck behind an outing. An outing teed off ahead of us. And they were having a great time.
I thought you said an Audi.
No, an outing.
Oh, outing. Got it.
They were having a really good time. And getting pretty tuned up. But they weren't playing very fast. So there was a lot of waiting.
Yeah.
Which doesn't help. But at least if you're going to get stuck, it was a 5-hour round. But at least if you're going to get stuck, be with good people, and I was. So it was.
They had a good time. Well, it's good that you got out there, you know?
So I'm playing Wednesday. I'm playing Brook Lake Country Club. Another tough course. But I'm looking forward. I haven't played this course in a few years. So I'm really looking forward to going back there.
Well, good luck.
Yeah, wish you luck. Hope you continue to improve.
Next week is, thank you. Next week is Charles Schwab Open in Texas.
You're playing with him?
No.
Well, that's the name of the tournament.
I don't even let that guy handle my money. What are you kidding me?
All right. Very good. Anything else, men? Because I don't want to end the show prematurely.
No, I'm good. I got nothing.
You should be used to ending things prematurely.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Anytime. That's it. I think that's all we got.
All right. Say it.
Bye.